I never thought I'd be standing in my driveway at 7:30 in the evening, watching red and blue lights bounce off my garage door, while a woman I barely knew screamed that I was a criminal. Yet there I was. An officer stood between me and my neighbor, holding a small notepad, looking exhausted already. Karen. Yes, her real name actually was Karen, which still feels too on the nose to be true, was pointing at me like I'd just robbed a bank. "He's refusing to pay what he owes," she snapped. I told the dispatcher everything. The officer sighed and turned to me. "Sir, she's saying you refused to pay her bills." I blinked. "I'm sorry, her bills?" That was the moment I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was entitlement in its purest, most unhinged form. I moved into this neighborhood about a year earlier. It was one of those quiet suburban developments. Not gated, not fancy, but clean. Small lawns, modest houses, decent people. I worked full-time, paid my mortgage on time, minded my own business. I'm not loud, I don't throw parties, I don't park on the street like an animal. There was an HOA, but it was extremely limited. No nonsense rules about mailbox colors or grass height measured with a ruler. Mostly just shared maintenance for the entrance sign and snow removal in winter. Dues were low and paid quarterly. Everything was fine, until Karen. She lived 3 houses down from me. Middle-aged, always dressed like she was about to attend a city council meeting she didn't actually belong to. Clipboard energy, the kind of person who smiled while correcting you. Our first interaction was strange, but harmless. I was unloading groceries when she appeared out of nowhere and said, "You're the new homeowner, right?" I said, "Yes. I'm Karen. I'm on the HOA board." I nodded. "Nice to meet you." She looked past me into my garage and said, "You should really keep that door closed. It lowers property values." That should have been my first warning. Over the next few months, she made herself known. She'd remind people about trash day. She'd comment on lawns. She'd hover during conversations and insert HOA rules that no one remembered agreeing to. But she never crossed a real line until the afternoon she knocked on my door holding a folder. I assumed it was HOA paperwork. I was wrong. She stepped inside without being invited, another red flag, and sat down at my kitchen table like she owned the place. Then she slid the folder toward me. "I need you to take care of these," she said. I opened it. Inside were utility bills, electric, water, internet, not HOA expenses, personal bills. Her name was on them. I looked up at her, genuinely confused. "Why are these here?" She said it casually, like this made perfect sense. "These are shared neighborhood expenses. As a homeowner, you're responsible for your portion." I actually laughed. I thought it was a joke. She didn't laugh. "Karen," I said carefully, "these are your bills." She frowned. "No, they're community-related." "Your electric bill?" "Yes." "For your house?" "Yes." I stared at her. "I'm not paying your personal utility bills." Her expression shifted instantly, smile gone, jaw tight. "You don't get to decide that." I explained calmly. HOA bylaws, shared costs, what dues actually covered. I even pulled up the HOA agreement on my phone. She waved it off. "I've been handling finances longer than you've lived here. I still won't pay your bills." That's when she stood up and said, "You're making a serious mistake." Over the next week, she escalated. Emails, notes on my door, HOA violation warnings that weren't real. She claimed I owed late fees. She claimed interest was accumulating. She even mentioned putting a lien on my house. Every message boiled down to one thing: pay my bills. I responded once, politely, in writing, stating I would not be paying any personal expenses that were not outlined in HOA documentation. She responded with one sentence: "Then I'll involve authorities." I assumed she meant the HOA board. I was wrong again. 3 days later, I heard shouting outside. I opened my front door and saw Karen in the street on her phone, pacing, gesturing wildly at my house. "Yes," she said loudly. "He's refusing to pay legally required bills. I feel threatened. He's being aggressive." I froze. She was calling 911. I stepped outside. "Karen, what are you doing?" She covered the phone and hissed, "Stay away from me. I'm not threatening you." She turned her back to me and said into the phone, "He's approaching me right now." I went back inside and shut the door. 10 minutes later, police arrived. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Someone filmed on their phone. Karen stood in the driveway, arms crossed, looking smug. She told the officers I was harassing her, that I was refusing to pay legally required financial obligations, that I was aggressive. The officers came to me next. I told them everything. I showed them the bills. They read the names. They looked at her. One officer asked, "Ma'am, these are your personal utilities." She said, "Yes, but the HOA." The officer cut her off. "That's not how that works." Her face went red. They warned her about misuse of emergency services, about filing false reports. She started crying, loudly. I was scared. The officer looked unimpressed. In the end, no one was arrested. But Karen wasn't done. The HOA board got involved. An emergency meeting was called. Turns out Karen had been pulling similar stunts with other neighbors, just not this extreme. The board removed her from her position immediately. She was fined. And she stopped talking to me entirely. These days things are quiet again. But every time I see flashing lights, I still remember the moment an officer told me someone wanted me arrested for not paying her bills. And honestly, I'd refuse again in a heartbeat.